In just 2019, South Africa was worth a little over 900 billion US dollars. It was the best, wealthiest, and most beautiful country to live in Africa. But today is a whole different story. With a net worth of less than 300 billion US dollars, South Africa is no longer the richest and greatest. It's the worst and deadliest. And today, I have all the 5 documents needed. These documents include the when, the how, but most importantly, the cost. The cost of the most idiotic yet deadliest events that destroyed the Rainbow Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves, because this documentary perfectly resembles the saying, as long as greed is stronger than compassion, there will always be suffering. This is the deadly financial loss of South Africa. Let's begin. What do we have here? Looting. What a joke. Now, for you to perfectly understand this joke, we need to remember it. It's July 2021. The former president of South Africa has just been sentenced 15 months in prison. He is accused of 16 criminal charges, 12 charges of fraud, 2 of corruption, 2 of money laundering. The government simply thought they were done. Little did they know they've just created a chaos. Literally, only 2 days after the arrest, this was the horror witnessed in KwaZulu-Natal.
The unrest began after the country's former president, Jacob Zuma, was arrested. But a series of protests have grown into something far more troubling. Here on an estate near Durban, residents filled their arms with televisions, microwaves and bikes plundered from a distribution centre. In Johannesburg, shops and...
See, the original plan was to strike until Zuma was released from prison. But as we all know, that didn't go as planned. Out of nowhere, people started looting, taking everything they came across. And when I mean everything, I mean everything. Fridges, TVs, stoves, you name them, they all felt like nuts. You see, these shenanigans began in KZN. But as time passed on, the whole country started to join. Literally, in a period of 8 days, 312 malls were banned, 200 shopping centers were brutally damaged, 1,400 ATMs were damaged, and 354 people lost their lives. All of this costed South Africa 60 billion rand. Finally, on the 7th of September, Zuma was released from prison, but still, the damage was already done. That was a lot of drama to uncover. Let's just see the next one. Coronavirus. The biggest lie of all time. Let's dive in. Alright, I think at this point we all know that coronavirus started in Wuhan, China. The how still remains a mystery. But there are two theories about how coronavirus started. One of a supermarket. Some people think that the virus started from animals to humans, possibly through contact with infected animals sold at a supermarket in China. Another theory is of a lab. The theory is that the virus escaped from the lab while the Chinese scientists were still researching about viruses in Wuhan, China. This could have been intentionally or accidentally. Well, to this day, we are still not quite sure how the coronavirus started. But what we know is that once the virus was released to the masses of Wuhan, China, everybody in that city was running for their lives. And this led to the wide spread of the coronavirus. How it got in South Africa though was through a 38-year-old male who traveled from Italy to South Africa on the 1st of March 2020. And on the 26th of March, over 100 cases of coronavirus were encountered. And that's when the current president at the time, Cyril Ramaphosa, announced level 5 lockdown. Oh boy, that's when it all went down. Over 15,000 companies and small businesses were affected by the lockdown. 60% of them went bankrupt. And this led to the rise of unemployment in South Africa. Approximately 10.9 million people at the time were unemployed. And not to talk about the 130 million liters of beer that were destroyed during the lockdown. And sadly, the coronavirus has killed over 200,000 people in South Africa. All of this chaos costed South Africa a mind-blowing 500 billion rands. We are just starting and I'm already falling asleep. What time is it? Let's just continue. Unemployment. I already knew this one was going to come. Where can I start? South Africa has the largest unemployment rate in the world. So large, even some of the residents say applying for a job in South Africa feels more like gambling. So I rather gamble so that I can be able to get my results now than to apply for a job only to end up with zero response. Imagine this. You spend 13 years in school, 4 years in university. That's 17 years in total. All for this one dream that you have of getting a job and being successful. And after getting your degree, you apply for tens and hundreds of jobs, only to get zero replies. It's then after you realize it was all a cult. Now you are old, sad, and broke. Sad, right? What's even more sad is that there are thousands, if not millions, of people who have the same story. Do you guys remember when the Minister of Gauteng released 8,000 jobs? Guess how many people applied? Not 1,000, not 100,000, and not even 1 million, but 9.8 million. 8,000 jobs, 9.8 million applies. That's how rough the unemployment is in South Africa. See, what makes the economy poor is not you staying at your home and doing nothing. It's the consequences that happen when people have nothing to eat. In just 2023, 3,638 kilometers of railway tracks were stolen. 400 people were robbed each and every day in South Africa. In just 2023, an estimated of 238,000 incidents of home robberies occurred. Over 400 traffic lights were stolen, not to mention the 300 cash-in-transit cars that were bombed in just 2023 alone. If I try to go through a list of horrible things South Africans do when they have nothing to eat, this video will turn into a horror movie. What the government doesn't realize is that the more the unemployment, the more people find dangerous ways to make money. The less taxes they will pay, the less money the government will make. All of this chaos costed South Africa over 800 billion rands. Whew. Okay. What's happening? What's happening? Let me just grab a torch and see the next one. Load shedding. What a coincidence. No wonder the sheet is black. Now, to understand the whole load shedding scandal, let me just give you a very short summary of how electricity is made. Approximately 94% of electricity in South Africa comes from thermal power stations fueled by coal. Now, the coal is burned to heat the water. When that water boils, it creates a large steam. That steam is then used to drive the turbine, which rotates a generator to produce electricity. The electrical energy generated is then transferred to the homes of South Africans using high voltage power lines. Pretty simple, right? So then, why is South Africa suffering from this simple process, even though it has the largest coal production in Africa? See, load shedding in South Africa is caused by a lot of things, but let's just focus on the most effective one, which is aging infrastructure. Most of South Africa's power depends on old, poor maintained infrastructures. Most of the power stations built by Eskom have reached the end of their life cycle. Some of these power stations are even 60 years old. See, the problem with these old power stations is that they require frequent and expensive maintenance, and over time they become less reliable, leading to unexpected shutdown. The effects of load shedding are felt by everyone: schools, residents, malls, hospitals, but most importantly, businesses. When a business is affected by load shedding, the owner has two choices to make sure he doesn't lose money. It's either he reduces the staff or he closes the business. But whatever path he takes, it will always add more people to unemployment, which goes back to the consequences of what happens when people have nothing to eat. In just 2023 alone, 66% of companies and small businesses have been forced to cut jobs due to the significant revenue losses. And all of this chaos, including unemployment, has costed South Africa nearly 1.4 trillion. Finally, we are on to the last one. What is this little one doing here? Oh, it's about the video mentorship I'm offering. So in this mentorship, you'll know how I make my music, how I make my voiceovers, how I master storytelling, and most importantly, I'll give you a step-by-step guide on how I edit my YouTube videos. So if you want to know how to make videos just like me and start generating some income, click the first link in the description. Alright, back to business. Why is this one red? I wonder. Corruption, the love of money, the root of all kinds of evil. Where can I start? Honestly speaking, corruption is the cause of everything that I've mentioned before. Just like a ball of ice, once it starts rolling, it will always increase. And the only way to stop its growth is to stop it. See, the more we let these corrupt individuals, the more comfortable they become. Remember, corruption is always funded by poor people. See, one of the most heartbreaking moments I've ever witnessed was the 2021 looting. See, that was the moment I realized that South Africans are, if you know, you know. I mean, you are literally protecting the same man who fooled you, the same man who made you suffer, the same man who made you poor. And on top of that, you are destroying the mall that feeded you, the same mall that made you get new clothes, the same mall that made you get things you are very obsessed about. To me, it seems like South Africans are protecting bad things and destroying good things. You can hate me for saying that, but I don't care. I'm already expecting it, because no one is more hated than he who tells the truth all the time. South Africans, Mzansi, let's be wise, man. Let's just be wise once in a while. Oh, you want to know the cost of corruption in South Africa? You really want to know the cost? Well, the answer is infinity. I can't tell you the cost, because as I speak right now, someone somewhere is stealing some money. Just like a ball of ice, once it starts rolling, it will always increase. So someone somewhere is stealing some money, so the corruption cost is always increasing. See, if corruption was a sport played by politicians, then South Africa is ruled by legends.